Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 4. Just wanted to give you a little intro for the week, kind of a look back at last week as well. If you haven't gone on the Flipgrid yet and listened to a few of your classmates, I encourage you to do so. That was an absolute joy for me to go back and look at those and finally put voices and faces to the posts and the emails I've been getting. It was absolutely wonderful watching you guys go through that. On the email note, we moved this weekend. We moved to our new house, and we don't have internet there yet. So it's been tricky the past couple of days in communicating with some of you. So I apologize if I got to you too late on anything. It was a busy weekend of moving. So yeah, just looking ahead to this week. It was a great problem-solving week last week, and we're going to be moving into how we deliver those lessons this week. We've got a vision of learning at Northwestern, and there's 4 parts to it. The first one being how we trust, love, and worship God in what we do and in our lives, and second one being how we encourage ideas out of learning, and that's a big part of what you're doing right now. How we engage new ideas and new ways of learning and new thought, and how we bring that to our classes and our students. We also look, to connect our knowledge, and experience. You guys have done a fantastic job of that. Just looking in the discussion boards and your reflection papers, you're constantly bringing in not only how you've done it, but you're asking questions of your classmates as well in terms of how they've done it in their classrooms, how they've set up their classes, how administration has allowed them to do things like that. It's great to see you guys connect in that way as well, and that's a big part of what we do. But the fourth part is responding to God's call, and I know that can be tricky for a number of you. Most of you in public school settings, I have not been, so I can't speak from experience on that. You would be the expert in that area. But how do we do that as a Christian with the students that we have? How do we take the call of God in our lives and apply that to our vocation as teaching, or our call to be educators in this world? You've, I'm sure, all just dug through that vision of learning, and you know the mission statement of Northwestern forwards and backwards. But the end of it talks about God's redeeming call, or God's redeeming work in the world. And to redeem something is to make something right, something that was wrong, something that was not perfect, and to make it right again. And I just felt like this last week with problem solving is exactly what redeeming work was. If you look at coding, if you look at things that aren't going well, if you all know, most of you do coding with your students on a daily basis, problem solving things, and many of you talked about how things just do not go well. How do we make things right again? And that's exactly what problem solving is, and that's what redeeming is. So I encourage you, even though when things don't go well, how do we bring that light? How do we bring the promise of it's going to work out in the end to our students, and get them to the point where they can understand? This week we're going to look at lesson planning and delivery. How do we get our students to think critically? How do we get them to step up to challenges? How do we deliver these lessons? And again, many of you, I've told you over and over again, I wish you could sit in on your classrooms. I'm sure they're amazing, just talking or hearing about what you've been reading or responding to and talking about. I would love to be able to sit in on there, but you're going to be doing that this week. You're going to be sitting in on a classroom, and I realize to do that in a week and to coordinate schedules is going to be tough. So if you need an extension on that, just let me know. But the goal is this week at some point you can sit in on somebody else's class, and that you could watch them deliver a lesson and just write down your reflections. So just a rundown of what this week is going to look like. There's going to be a section from your textbook to read, and then there's some standards just to review as well. There's a 2-minute YouTube video on there of a teacher who does a great job of doing this, talks about her students and the success that they've had. And you view that, and then we're also going to, like I said earlier, sit in on a classroom. The goal here is for one period, whether that's 45-minute to 1 hour. I don't know how your district does periods, but something like that time slot. If you end up going to an elementary class where they're doing something like this, and it's 30 minutes long, we should probably hit 2 of them to meet our hour. But the goal is an hour on that, and then you're writing a 3-page double-spaced reflection paper on that, on the observation. And you're talking about the content that they delivered, how it was delivered, the standards that were met, if they said the standards or the standards that you saw being delivered in there, the student engagement, the level that students were engaged, or how the teacher did engage them, would be something you could include. If you write down the timeline that it goes, 1 o'clock, teacher did this, and then you discuss it for a while. 1:15, teacher did this. You could do that part as well. Let's keep it maybe away from bullet points and more towards a full sentence paragraph description of what's going on each of those times, but it might be another way to format it and then kind of summarize everything at the end. Would be a very appropriate way to do that as well. And then when you get done, we're going to post on the discussion board again just a brief what did you observe, what did you notice, but also contrasting what you saw in terms of that teacher and their engagement with the students with the teacher we saw in the YouTube video. So, and then again, responding to 2 others as well. So I encourage you to do that, to post early if at all possible. But I realize this week might be tough for that because you got to get your observation in and then post. So if they come later, that's fine, and this might roll into a little bit of next week as well. But this is good. This is putting all of the stuff we're looking at and struggling through together. I know a number of you have even said, some of this doesn't seem to apply much to me. I don't know how this fits. I feel like I'm already doing this. I think the value in that is looking at what's presented in each module and say, am I doing this? And how could I better do this? Or what would be the goal of someone who just attacked this? Or what age level could use this? Or what type of class could use this? And really look at, does it fit you right now, or does it fit somebody else? Maybe you can be sharing within your district as well. So I'm done. I will stop talking now. Again, if you have any questions, email me whenever, and can't wait to see what you guys observe this week. Have a great week, everybody.